In this video, I want to give a very brief piece of advice for anyone who is just starting a PhD program. No one remembers what you wrote in your application with regard to the dissertation that you plan to write. Why do I bring this up? Well, in my experience, there is a strange funk or confusion or cloud which often follows first-year PhD students that is entirely unnecessary. It's kind of a self-imposed confusion that it's much better if you just shed and do without and then just get on with your lives. And this is the confusion and the worry that you often discover a first-year grad student having, which is they are afraid to explore or discuss potential avenues for their dissertation that do not correspond to what they promised to do in the application that got them into the program in the first place. This is a total misunderstanding, a total mistake by applicants, a very understandable one that it's important to clarify and to just overcome as soon as possible. When you apply to grad school, that's a big subject and one that we're going to cover in a lot of different videos on this channel. But when you apply to grad school, nothing in that application is a kind of binding promise or contract to either the department or the institution or the advisor about what you have to do when you go in. Now, I am talking about the humanities and the social sciences. I don't know what kinds of promises are given or not given in the sciences, so please forgive me if I say anything wrong on that account. But within the humanities and the social sciences, nothing you write about your research concerns or your possible directions for a dissertation topic, none of those things are promises and none of those things are binding. What is more is that because your own advisor, the person that now is going to be working with you, and certainly the committee that did the grad application process, they read so many applications during the process, and they have read so many things between when they accepted you into the program to, the fall or late summer when you walk back through their door. They have read so much stuff that they probably don't even remember what you wrote in the first place. That's not because they don't care about you. It's just because their mind is crowded with other things. But more importantly, it's because there's no need for them to memorize what it is that you said you were going to do, because from their perspective, you are permitted to explore in different directions. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because what I've discovered is that first-year student can hesitate or withhold information from an advisor when they think that broaching a new research direction or a potentially different topic might upset or disappoint or kind of break the agreement with that advisor. And when these conversations do come up, I've had this personally and I've also witnessed it, there's a certain sheepishness about the process where the person sort of tells you about their new research interest almost in this cautious, like, oh, I don't want to, upset you, but let's, talk about it. And it's totally unnecessary. I mean, when it happens and you're on the other side, it would be humorous if it didn't involve the anxiety of your interlocutor, but there's something a little bit kind of tragicomic about it because you are allowed to pursue your research ideas and concerns in graduate school, in your PhD. And what you proved and what you committed to and what you demonstrated in your materials is not that you have one topic that you're going to do, but rather that you are capable. You have proved your capacity to do original, substantial research in your proposed field. That's really what your application has proven. So when it comes to admission into a program, it's not your proposed dissertation topic that is being admitted. It's you. And you are a human, you're large scale, you've got many dimensions, and you are allowed to pursue and explore those dimensions. So just get over that idea. No one remembers what you wrote. It's not a promise. It's not a binding contract. Now, there is one big caveat here that goes without saying, but it's worth emphasizing so there's no confusion. This doesn't apply as much. Everything I'm saying doesn't apply in the same way if you are truly thinking of changing fields or changing advisors. That is a big deal. Now, it happens. There are mechanisms to allow it to happen. There are processes involved. But it's important to note that when you apply to work in Ottoman history or Latin American anthropology or in Chinese history, that the committee and the advisor-to-be assumes that you have done the kind of intellectual and emotional preparation work in advance of that application, and that you really do want to do this. You really do want to do this. It's not that grad school is kind of nifty and you just like the idea of wearing, I don't know, tweed suits and smoking a pipe. Like you like the idea of grad school, and therefore you're just picking a topic and picking a department and you just want to get in the door and then have fun. That's a little shitty. That's a little bit immature and also kind of inconsiderate of the amount of effort and time that goes in on the other side of this equation, that is the institution, the department, and the advisor. But having said that, if you get into a program and if in your inner recesses of your mind and your heart, you start thinking to yourself, I think I'm a French historian. I think I actually, I came in working as an Africanist or working as a Southeast Asianist, but the more and more and more, I actually find myself gravitating to being just an up and down kind of recognizably French historian scholar. I wonder if I can pivot within the program to be in the European field rather than X or Y, and it can go vice versa the other way. You start as a French historian and maybe you find yourself that really you want to work on another part of the world and you want to apply to jobs, not as this diverse transnational utility player, I can do everything, but you just want a job as a Japan historian, or you just want a job as an X or a Y. That is a different kind of discussion. That's where you do need to sit down with your advisor and have a very carefully worded heart-to-heart. That's where you should reach out to trusted mentors in confidence. And in fact, you may want to sit down with the chair of your department even before you sit down with your own advisor, provided that you have a good relationship with the chair, you trust them, and they promise that this conversation will remain in confidence. But it might be a good idea to make sure that such a shift would be possible and that there is a mechanism for doing that. Because what you don't want to do is walk into your advisor's office and say, I'm sorry to break this to you, but I am now a Brazilianist. That's what I am now. And they say, okay, that's a surprise to me, so I guess you don't want me to be your primary advisor anymore. And that stings. I mean, especially if the program is smaller, they don't have a lot of advisors, you were the person they fought for, and now you're kind of breaking up with them. Okay, but do not have a breakup conversation with that advisor if you haven't made sure that the Brazilianist in your department is actually willing to take you on as a student. You cannot break up with one advisor and then march into the other office and said, good news, professor, I am now your advisee because now I have said that I'm a Brazilianist. It is totally their prerogative in most departments that I'm aware of to say, no, you're not. And then you are screwed, because then you're in the nether region and you are technically no one's advisee. Because remember, you can't just by fiat tell someone or require someone to be your advisor. That is a relationship and they have a vote on that matter. Let's put it that way. So that special circumstance aside, the idea of really switching advisors, switching subfields, I'm not even going to go into the idea of switching departments. That's a totally different beast. But putting all of that aside and coming back to the idea that you still do want to work with the same advisor, you just want to go in a different direction with your research, that is 100% okay. And I say that, I can't speak on behalf of your advisor, but I'm going to say this in absolute terms. That is okay. So you shouldn't worry or be afraid to have that conversation or even think that that conversation is going to, frighten or frustrate your advisor. Personalities are different, I recognize. I don't know everybody, but that's okay. So get over that hang up, realize that no one remembers what you wrote in your application, and if something really speaks to you as a dissertation topic, you really think it's exciting, it's a problem for you, it hasn't been done before, then by all means, do not waste a single second. Start to think about it, start to pursue it, and have a conversation with your advisor. And 100 to 1, odds are in your favor that they will say, I'm so glad to hear that you've found something you care about like this. Let's discuss. Let's talk about it. All right, so that's it for today. If you found this video useful, please consider leaving a comment, giving a like, and as always, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you in the next video.